Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever looked back at your younger self and just wanted to give them a big hug? Or maybe like a gentle, knowing nudge about what really matters? Today, we're diving headfirst into Dolly Alderton's wildly popular memoir, Everything I Know About Love. And this isn't just, a book, it's this vibrant, often messy, utterly hilarious treasure trove of personal stories, sharp wit, and an honesty that just hits you, tracing her path from like disastrous dates to these amazing friendships and real self-discovery.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating here is how Alderton doesn't just tell stories. She really distills lessons from them. It's almost like she's leaving breadcrumbs, for herself and for us reading along. So our mission for this deep dive is basically to pull out the most important bits of wisdom from her journey through early adulthood. We want to help you understand the complexities of modern life, love, friendship, all as she saw them at different ages. We'll look at what she thought she knew, what she actually learned, and why it all still feels so relevant today.
Right. So get ready for some maybe surprising facts, definitely some laugh out loud moments that might remind you of your own youth, and maybe even an aha moment or two that really resonates. Think of this as your shortcut to getting informed on navigating love, in the chaos of adulthood. Let's kick off where it all began. Teenage Dolly. Her perspective on love back then, it was, let's just say, a little bit like the movies, wasn't it? At age 15, what did she really believe about romance? What was the pressure like?
Well, if you think about teenage idealism, her younger self truly saw romantic love as the most vital thing, the most exciting, the most validating thing in the world, really. She sort of absorbed this idea that if you didn't have it, you were failing somehow, as an adult woman anyway. And there was this huge unspoken pressure, maybe spoken, sometimes to lose your virginity between 17 and 18. There was a real stigma attached to being a virgin into adulthood, as she saw it then. And true love. Oh, in her mind, that involved boys physically fighting over you. Ideally, she thought, with some mild violence, but crucially, no hospital visits.
Wow. Mild violence, no hospital visits. That's quite a specific ideal, almost theatrical. And what about the actual boys she liked? Did she have a type that fit this dramatic vision?
Oh, absolutely. She had a very clear type she'd kind of cataloged. Desirable boys for her were tall, Jewish, owned a car that was a big one, symbol of freedom, and older. Always older because they seemed more mature, had more wisdom. Which is fascinating because that specific checklist often set her up for, well, disappointment later. She also believed that friends with boyfriends become boring, unless you had one too. And kind of ironically, she thought different tastes in boys would actually protect friendships,
Yeah.
keep them distinct, no rivalry.
So she had these really specific scripts for everything: love, friendship, how it should work. How did the internet, specifically MSN Messenger back then, feed into all this? Did it just amplify the ideals or maybe set her up for a bigger fall?
MSN Messenger.
Okay.
Yeah, she describes it as like knocking on the wall of a prison cell and hearing someone tap back, which is quite evocative, right? For a teenager stuck in the suburbs, it was this amazing escape. It let her build connections, online friendships, especially with boys that felt super intense, super intimate. But the striking thing is how often these carefully built virtual relationships just crashed and burned in real life. There's that famous 12 minutes date she had with a guy named Betzalel, who, ironically, fit the Jewish boy ideal, but he looked nothing like his picture. And he even had a pre-written message ready on his phone explaining he didn't have feelings for it. Just, ouch!
Oh my God, 12 minutes in a pre-written text. That's brutal.
Exactly. And it's not just a funny story, right? It perfectly captures that early painful gap between the fantasy you build online and the sometimes harsh reality. A lesson I think many of us learned too.
That script metaphor she uses just nails it, doesn't it? The way reality just refuses to follow our carefully planned narratives. So moving on from those teenage ideals, did breaking free lead straight into more chaos? Or was that chaos kind of necessary as she hit her late teens, early 20s?
Oh, definitely more chaos first. But it was a necessary chaos, I think, a vital period for her growth. She totally dove into what she calls her Hellraiser years.
Right, the Hellraiser years. As she got into her late teens, early 20s, things definitely got messier. Parties, dating, these wild stories that gave her endless anecdotal mileage, as she puts it. Tell us about that time. What did it really mean for her?
Well, the Hellraiser period, especially at university in Exeter, was marked by heavy drinking, a lot of bravado, but also this, deep desire for fulfillment she didn't quite know how to find. She even remembers getting drunk for the first time at a bat mitzvah when she was 10.
10.
Yeah. So university was, she admits, pretty aimless. Lots of partying. And it's interesting because she frames it as this defiant, celebratory, powerful act. That youthful glorification of just going wild. But the deeper lesson she learned later, I think, is how those escapades often hid vulnerability, this desperate search for belonging. But eventually, she had to face the consequences.
That makes sense. You glorified it at the time, but looking back.
Exactly. It's how we rewrite our own stories, isn't it?
And speaking of stories, through all this chaos, did she capture any moments of humor or self-reflection? Maybe in those lists or recipes she includes. Did they show how she was coping?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But humor is often like a shield, right? That hangover mac and cheese recipe is a perfect example.
Oh, yeah, the one you eat in pajamas watching, like, Made in Manhattan.
Or a serial killer documentary. It perfectly captures that mix of self-care, maybe self-indulgence, and just avoiding feeling the actual feelings. There's like a little artifact of that coping mechanism. But she doesn't just show the glamour. Remember her friend's comment, "You were so drunk you thought you were in Oxford City Centre when you were outside the Oxford Circus Topshop."
Right. That pulls you up short.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder of that blur between feeling liberated and actually losing control. It's subtle, but it's a critique of that lifestyle, even while she enjoys telling the stories.
That's a great point. It grounds the wild stories. And speaking of wild, her Bad Gate diaries from this time, some absolute classics in there. Any standouts you can share?
Oh, definitely. There's the really surreal one with Grayson. Palm reader, hated Facebook. Took her to a hotel room his boss apparently just gave him.
Okay, red flags maybe?
You'd think. But they just talked all night. She was left wondering if his stories about his rich family were even real. And then, years later, she gets connected to him again through a book about a fish written by a guy she was dating. Just bizarre.
That's peak Alderton anecdote right there.
Totally. And then there's the infamous Tinder date.
Where?
The one that ended with a 300-pound restaurant bill.
300 pounds? What happened?
She just lost it. Shouted, "You can't own me," right there in the restaurant. Had to text her flatmate to borrow money.
Oh, the cringe. But also kind of iconic.
Exactly. It's not just funny, it really highlights that awkward mix of like grand romantic gestures, trying to keep your independence, and the actual practical money side of dating today. It pushed her to assert herself very publicly.
Wow. Yeah, that tension between a gesture and a power play, how do you navigate that? Especially when you're young, trying to figure yourself out financially and romantically. And it sounds like it wasn't just dates causing turmoil. Her body image took a real hit too, right?
Yeah, the two things were definitely connected. After a really tough breakup with Harry, who was a big relationship in her early 20s, she lost a lot of weight because she just couldn't eat. And that made her identity crisis even worse. Initially, she actually saw the compliments about being thin as validation. She believed when you are thin enough, you'll be happy with who you are, and then you'll be worthy of love.
Oh, that's such a dangerous thought pattern.
It really is. It shows how easily we can let external stuff hijack our self-worth. Her friends were worried, but it was actually meeting someone new, Leo, that helped her turn a corner, helped her start eating again, rediscover cooking. But it raises that huge question, doesn't it? How societal pressure on women's looks gets tangled up with our self-worth and affects our relationships, especially when we're feeling vulnerable.
It absolutely does. It really makes you question where your sense of worth comes from and how easily other people's opinions can mess with it. It sounds like these were hard lessons, but really crucial ones. And as she moved through her 20s, her idea of love started to shift, didn't it? Especially valuing her female friendships more. Let's talk about the Gooseberry Fool chapter, that contrast between fleeting romance and lasting bonds.
Yes, that chapter is fascinating because of the stark contrast. Her relationship with Hector, which started so intensely like something from a film on a train, it turned out to be really unstable. No real substance there. And she saw this happening right alongside her best friend Farley's relationship with Scott, which was becoming so deep, so stable, so adult. Dolly had this moment where she realized her thing with Hector was basically a joke compared to Farley's enviable adultness.
That must have been a tough realization.
Yeah, it helped her see that the big dramatic spark doesn't always mean real growth or happiness, and how nostalgia can really fool you about past relationships. You remember the intensity, maybe, but not the lack of actual connection.
Right, remembering the fireworks, but not the foundation. And speaking of Farley, their friendship really got tested when Farley got serious with Scott. That chapter, Nothing Will Change, is so powerful, almost painful to read sometimes.
It really is. And the title itself is just heartbreakingly ironic, isn't it? Because Dolly starts out feeling frustrated, maybe even a bit jealous, as Farley naturally starts prioritizing Scott more, moving in, getting engaged, and Dolly keeps thinking or saying, nothing will change, but she slowly realizes, no, actually, everything will change.
That's such a universal experience in friendships, though.
Totally. It highlights those inevitable shifts when people partner up. But the beautiful thing is, by the end, she navigates it. She finds this new kind of familial bond with Scott, too. She realizes love isn't finite. It can change shape. It can grow to include friends, partners, rather than being diminished. It's about expanding her own capacity for love, really.
That's a lovely way to put it. Expanding her capacity. And it wasn't just friendships evolving, it was her own identity. You see that in chapters like The Uncool Girls of Uncool Camden and that Tottenham Court Road moment. What
Yeah.
was happening internally for her?
Yes, absolutely. In Camden, she's 24, and she starts finding this real appreciation for like the quiet freedoms of being an adult,
Yeah.
actually enjoying paying rent, cooking meals, making a home. She kind of sheds that need to constantly impress people and just enjoy spontaneity on her own terms. It's a big step towards being self-sufficient.
Less performing, more just being.
Exactly. But then at 25, she hits this existential wall. Her friend Hannah sums it up perfectly with that phrase. Tottenham Court Road and ordering, well, stuff off Amazon.
Yeah, the fear of life just becoming mundane routine.
Precisely. That fear pushes her to go to New York, and it's there she has this huge insight. I'm the problem. I'm the thing that needs changing.
Wow. Taking responsibility.
Yeah, it's a massive shift. Moving away from blaming circumstances or looking for external fixes and realizing that real change, real fulfillment has to come from within her.
That moment, I'm the problem, is so raw and relatable. And this internal work really ramps up when she starts therapy, doesn't it? How did that help her understand her patterns?
Therapy seems like a huge turning point. She really starts confronting these deep fears she has about alcohol, her self-image, intimacy, all of it. Her therapist, Eleanor, sounds amazing. She tells Dolly, quite bluntly, you're all over the place. You've got no rooting. You don't know how to be with yourself.
Tough love, but maybe necessary.
It seems like it. It forces Dolly to see how she'd been using distractions, parties, relationships, drama to avoid actually sitting with herself, building that internal stability. She also learns about accountability, that idea that unless someone dies, if something bad happens in a relationship, you have played a part in it. That's huge.
Taking ownership.
Right? And this whole journey kind of culminates in advice from this guru figure, David, who tells her, you don't need someone else to tell you what to do or who to be. You're your own mother now. You have to listen to what you want.
Learning to be your own mother, that's such a powerful image.
Isn't it? It elevates her to this place of real self-reliance. And that mantra, I am enough, starts to feel really true for her.
And through all this intense internal work, it feels like her friendships were the constant anchor, right? The lifeline.
Absolutely. You see it so clearly in Heartbreak Hotel. When Farley's engagement to Scott breaks down just weeks before the wedding, it's devastating. And Dolly just drops everything. She's there, comforting Farley, taking her away to Cornwall, helping her pick up the pieces.
That's true friendship.
It really is. And Dolly says it explicitly. It takes a village to mend a broken heart. It just underlines how crucial friendships are as that primary support system. They offer resilience, profound love, maybe even more reliably than romance sometimes.
It's a different kind of love, but just as vital. So fast forward to age 28. After all the chaos, the heartbreak, the self-discovery, what are her final takeaways on love? Romantic love, self-love, all of it.
By 28, her insights are so much more, well, mature, grounded. She realizes any decent man would take a woman at peace with herself over a woman who performs tricks to impress him. That speaks volumes about her own journey away from needing external validation.
That's a huge shift from teenage Dolly.
Huge. She advises making choices about your appearance for yourself, not for society or for guys. She emphasizes that the love someone gives you will be a reflection of the love you give yourself. It all comes back to that internal work. She also acknowledges that breakups get messier as you get older, shared lives, practicalities, but ultimately no practical issue is important enough to stay in an unhealthy relationship.
That's a hard truth, too.
Yeah. But the ultimate message, the thing her whole journey builds towards, is this radical self-acceptance and self-assurance. It culminates in that incredibly powerful, simple promise she makes to herself. I've got you.
I've got you. Like, I myself have got my own back.
Exactly. Committing to herself above all else.
Wow, what a journey, really. From that teenager dreaming of boys, like having mild fights over her, to this woman who understands deep down that I am enough. Dolly Alderton really takes us on this wild, incredibly honest, and yeah, often hilarious deep dive into what it means to truly know love. Not just romance, but that fierce, loyal love of friends, and maybe most importantly, that quiet, steady hum of self-love.
Yeah, this deep dive really drives home that love shows up in so many different ways, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In the messy fun of youth, the quiet comfort of friendship, the challenges of bad dates, and that huge, sometimes difficult journey of figuring yourself out. It's about finding that steady hum, like you said, in places you might not expect, and really learning to put your own emotional well-being first, ahead of what other people think or expect.
So as you sit here listening, reflecting on Dolly's evolving ideas about love, her journey from needing outside approval to finding inner peace, maybe think about this. What everything do you know about love right now at this point in your life? And maybe more importantly, what unspoken rules about relationships or about your own self-worth have you had to unlearn along your own unique path? We invite you to consider that because really the most profound deep dive is always the one into yourself.